kind of warm out. Where's Millie? Hello, welcome to the So Now What podcast. My name's Carie and I'm coming to you from just outside of Portland, Oregon. Today is August 25th, 2016, and welcome to my little corner of the world. If you're a new viewer, this is a podcast about quilting and knitting and creativity, and if you're a returning viewer, you know all that, and thank you so much for coming back. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry, and I'll put the information somewhere on the screen. And I do have a Ravelry group on, that's the So Now What Ravelry group. I need to slow down. Okay, so getting that all out of the way. Hello. Welcome everybody. It's been a scorcher of the last couple weeks. It's been so hot. Today's getting pretty warm. I've got a fan blowing on me, so hopefully you can't really hear that and the noise won't be bothersome, but it's warm. It's already getting really warm. So I haven't been able to do a whole lot of sewing just because it's just too hot up here. The other day I was trying to get some bags done and I had two fans blowing. One was like directly on me, the other one's blowing into the room, and it got to be over 80 degrees up here. Millie comes up to me and she's just panting like, can we go downstairs? So it's hot and it's summer. And I'm jealous of those of you that live in an area where you're already feeling like it's fall, because I'm ready for it. I like summer. It's not my favorite season because it just gets too hot. But I like that we get more sunshine and you can be outside more and do all those things that summer allows you to do. But, oh my gosh, I don't like the heat at all. So it's still supposed to be hot the next couple of days, like upper 90s, close to 100. Luckily, it's going to cool down a little bit this weekend because we're going to an outdoor concert. It's at the same venue where I went and saw the Dixie Chicks, and we're going to see Heart, Joan Jett, and Cheap Trick. Cheap Trick I could give or take, but I like the other two. It's music from my younger years and good old-fashioned rock and roll. So that'll be fun. We're going with another couple, and it's supposed to be about 85 degrees that night or that day. So hopefully it'll cool off to be just a really nice evening, and it will just be fun. So I don't have a whole lot. I mean, there wasn't too much. I don't even know if I have anything to put in the intro. I don't know at this point while I'm recording because I just didn't get out much. It was just really just too hot. Over this past weekend, I did take a hike with a friend. Jim and her husband went off and did guy things in the woods, whatever that is. And she was like, let's go do our own hike. And we did. And I think we actually had a more fun time than they did because they kept trying to get back into the woods. And a lot of it was locked behind like logging companies' gates. You can't get in until like October or something. And I think it's for fire danger. If people were back in there either making fires or their motorcycle sparked or something. Things are real dry right now. And until we start getting back into the rainy season, they usually close that stuff down. But my friend and I had a great time. So there's not a whole lot going on. Just trying to lay low, keep downstairs as much as I can. But I do have a pretty good size shop update at the end. I'm really excited because I'm going to have my first collection, which I didn't know if I would ever do, but it just sort of came to me. And I'm pretty excited about it. So I'll share that at the end so that if you're not interested in that stuff, then you don't have to see it. So I like to start with what's on the wall. And what's on the wall is a quilt that I made a few years ago. And it's my intro picture, and I thought, I don't think I've ever shown the quilt. So that's the whole quilt. It's not very big. It's about 2 feet-ish, 26 inches maybe square. It was one of my first patterns that I did that was paper piecing. And for the longest time, I tried to do paper piecing, and I just couldn't wrap my brain around it, because when you do paper piecing, you are actually sewing to a piece of paper. but it's like upside down and backwards, and I could not flip my brain around to do it. So I actually ended up taking a class at my local quilt shop, and then it clicked. The way she explained it, it clicked, and now I love doing paper piecing. I've done a few other projects. So this one I actually did as part of a book club, and there's a book club that I'm a part of. I don't participate a whole lot anymore, and we're all quilters, and we do a couple books a year, and it doesn't sound like very much, but we make a quilt inspired by the book, so that takes some time. So I've done a few quilts. I try and keep them really small, so they're little art quilts, because most often I'm not inspired to make a big huge bed quilt, and that's pretty extensive. You know, it's a lot of fabric and time, and that wasn't my focus. But this one I did, and I called it Spica, and I don't remember what the book was. Hang on a second. Hold that thought for just a second. Okay, it was a book called The Map of True Places by Brunona Berry. And that was, I named this Spica, which is the name of the brightest star in the constellation Virgo. And I think I had to just look that up. So that was for that book. And it, like I had said, it was one of my first paper piecing patterns, and it just came out of this itty bitty little pattern. So it's an old one. It's called, this is a Little Bits Mariner's Compass, which is the style of the star is considered a mariner's compass. I changed it because, you know me, I can't do anything the way it's meant to be. So instead of this border, which was flying geese, which I don't like making flying geese, I designed the diamonds to go around it. So it's, oh, actually, is it 35 inches? I don't think it's 35 inches. This says it makes it 35 inches, but I don't know that it is. Cindi Edgerton. I don't know if it's still available. It was quite a while ago that I got the pattern. Little $5 pattern. So that was really cool. For those of you that don't quilt or don't know what paper piecing is a great way to do blocks and quilts when you have odd shapes, or you want the really pointy, thin, pointy things that's hard to do with just cut pieces. So this is a piece of a paper piecing project, a huge paper piecing project I'm working on. So as you can see, it's paper, and I've sewn to the paper. So when you're sewing it, you have to, everything's like backwards, and you match up. This has different color coding on the paper so that I know what colors to use. And I'll show this quilt sometime in the future. I want to get a little further along on it. I haven't picked it up in a long time, but it's a pretty big project. Anyway, you sew all your pieces, and you keep the paper on, and you sew everything together. And once everything's together, you rip the paper off. This is just printed on computer paper because I had to take it to like Office Depot or Staples or something to have the copies made, because the pattern had them printed on bigger sheets. So it's just computer paper. I usually try and use like a newsprint or something that rips pretty easy. So one thing I found in making paper pieced things is to make, it's really helpful if you have a light table, because you have to be able to see underneath to make sure your fabric is covering the whole piece, that you get everything under there. And to be able to see through it, it's good to have a light table. Now I have an acrylic extension table on my sewing machine, so it's clear. So what I've done for just like quick little projects is I went to the store and I got, this is like a 13-inch fluorescent light. There's a plug that, you know, that I can plug it in. And I got it like in the pet department or something. I think it's for aquariums or something like that. I slip this underneath my acrylic table, turn it on, and then I've got my, it makes like a quick little light table. So that's my handy little hint for today. Is if you need to make a quick light table for your sewing machine, that works. It works really good. And then it's easy for me to also take, if I were to go to a class or you know, retreat or something like that, I can take my light table with me. So I wanted to show also, since that was part of a book club thing, a couple of the other little ones that I've made, for the different books that we've done. This, I think, was my first one. And I know it's kind of bizarre looking, but it was a Sandra King book called The Book of Bright Ideas. And I vaguely remember the book. When did I make this? I don't know. I vaguely remember the book, and it was like this, something to do with like a garden and fairies in the garden. So this was all fabric that I hand painted, and I just designed like a flower, and then I found a little fairy button. So there's a little fairy in the garden. So that was one of them. And then another one I did, and I'm really bad because I don't know why I think I'm going to remember, because I don't have that great of a memory, but I always feel like I'm going to remember. And I don't remember what this book is from, but you've probably seen it when you saw the tour of my studio here. This book was about this woman. It was like back in the day, and I'm not sure if it was a true story or based on a true story. I can't really remember now, but she got married off, and her husband wanted to move to the mountains, and so they moved to, I think, the Olympic Mountains in Washington. And her big thing was that she ended up getting a lot of chickens and selling eggs, and that was like her big thing. So I made this quilt of mountains, egg-shaped, because the eggs were a really big part of her story. And then I got little chicken buttons. So there's little chickens down by the water. So this is their house, and then her little hen house up against the mountains. So I wish I remember what the book was called, because now I don't remember. But that was kind of fun. It's all just fused on. I drew it out on some paper and then just made the little pattern pieces and fused it on. Then I have little beads in the apple tree. So there's little apples in the apple tree. Some right here. So that was a fun one. This is another one that I don't remember the name of the book. Oh, wait, I have it written down. The Prodigal Summer by Barbara Kingsolver. And I don't really remember the book a whole lot, but I remember my inspiration was it had a Luna moth. The Luna moth was a big thing in the story, and it was 3 separate lives that somehow were connected. So I have like 3 rings, and it connects around the Luna moth. And the Luna moth is like 3D. Can you see that? So what I did is painted fabric, and then I fused 2 pieces together so that both sides had the color. I fused 2 pieces together, and then with steam, like over something, just steamed it to make it 3D. So that's the Luna moth and the three main people, how they intersected in their lives. And then it was like something there was significance of why I did it in a circle too, and I can't remember now. I don't remember the book. I remember reading it, and I remember coming up with this idea, but now I don't remember why. I don't remember that book at all. So it's really important to put labels on stuff because you won't remember at all. So that's all for the quilting stuff. I did have a major score at JoAnn's Fabrics. As you can see, the stack of fleece behind me. So I got an email saying, here's big coupon, whatever, happening. And it was 60% off of their fleece, prints and solids. And I'm like, heck, I'm going to go. So I needed to go to Costco, went over to Hillsboro, and got to JoAnn's and loaded up my cart. And the gal's cutting it, and she says, well, only the solids are on sale. And I showed her on my phone, my email, and it says, no, it says prints and solids. So it was this big rigmarole for them to put it in their system so I could get 60% off and blah, blah, blah. And it's all for donation. So I didn't feel bad about getting it for 60% off. But when I got home, later in the afternoon was another email from JoAnn saying, oops, that wasn't what we meant to send out. It's really only supposed to be for the solids. So I got a really good deal. And the reason why I got so much is because I like to make fleece hats for chemo patients. I can make those a lot faster than I can knit them. And it makes really soft hats. And I like to make them for kids and adults and whatever. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about that. The pattern I use is from Green Pepper. And it's just a fleece beanie type style. And I just make this one. I don't make anything fancy. And this is an adult size. This is one of the hats. So I have a bunch of these that I made towards the end of winter last year. There was a homeless drive to get warm clothing for the homeless. But by the time I got a bunch of these done, they were already kind of thinking it was too warm to give out these. So I have a bunch to give them this fall and this winter. So this is in more muted tone. The gal said that for the homeless, they like the darker colors and stuff. They don't like the real bright stuff. But what I like to do for the chemo patients is I like to make them in the like crazy fun colors. And I just trace the pattern on Swedish tracing paper, which is kind of cloth-like. And I can get 6 hats out of a yard of fabric. And so I kind of get an assembly line going, and I'll just get like a bunch of them cut, and then I can just sit and sew forever and just crank them out. It gets kind of boring after a while because anything that you do that's just repetitive like that, it's like, all right, I'm done with the hats. But I figure I can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 66 hats, 65 hats maybe, because the round cuts were remnants. So there's not quite a yard. So it was already like 50% off. Then I got like 60% off of that. So I got it for like just a couple bucks. So it was a pretty big score. So in the future, I'll be making these. You just be creative in the way you can cut them, and you can get 6 hats out of a yard of fleece. Because fleece comes wider. Fleece is like 56 inches wide or something like that. So you can get quite a bit. So that's all I have for the sewing part, and let's talk more about knitting and yarn. I had a happy mail day the other day. Back, I don't know, a couple months ago, I had a bag swap I did it through the Sandra podcast. I think I showed you, I have the bag over there. But my swap partner decided to make me another bag, which she absolutely didn't have to do, but she made the most awesome bag. I showed it on Instagram, but look at this bag. It's huge, and it's got the coolest fabric. It's all like sewing related, embroidery, all that kind of stuff. You got like tailor's chalk and buttons and scissors and rulers and a needle threader, and it's just super cool. And then this really cool skull zipper pull. But look at this bag, you guys. It's huge. Jeanette did a great job on it, and I absolutely didn't deserve it because she already gave me a bag, but I completely appreciate it. And so I had to show you because this is going to be great for like a bigger project because I don't have any bags this size. So thank you again, Jeanette. I really appreciate it, and you really didn't need to do it, but I'm glad you did because I love it. I do. I love it. I also, now last episode, I talked about a skein of yarn that I wasn't super thrilled with. I hope I have a picture of it. If I have a picture of it, I'll put it in here. And because it turned out more green than I wanted it to be, and it was pretty as it was, but it wasn't what I wanted it to look like because my inspiration was the leaves that were off of my tree in my backyard. And so you can see from that the green, like it was really light green and it wasn't red enough and blah, blah, blah. So I over-dyed it. Jim helped me decide what to do, and I put red over the top, and now it's absolutely gorgeous. So let me undo it so you can get the full effect. So there's still a little bit of the original because what I did is I wanted to keep some of it, and so I tied a knot so that acted as a resist. And I did a knot there and like around here. I did 2 knots and then just dunked all of it in a red. And now it's very much like the picture. So I really love it. I will have a hard time parting with it. I'll probably put it in my shop. It's going to just be a one-of-a-kind kind of thing. And I have probably some other ones that'll be one-of-a-kind. But it turned out so pretty. So if you see it in my shop, you're lucky. I'm still not decided on it yet. Because I know I can't duplicate this. But I just love how it still has some of the lighter color, but it has more of the red, which I really wanted. Part of my hesitation with it is I'm as careful as I was and as much effort as I put into setting the dye. I don't feel like the red is completely set. When I rinse it, I'm still getting just the slightest little bit of color in the water. It's not a lot, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, I know that's part of what happens with red, and it's also, you know, something that can happen with hand dye. So I'm not 100% sure that it won't bleed a little bit. I did everything I could. I have re-soaked this and reset it like several times, and it, like I said, it's just the tiniest little discoloration in the water. But I feel like I'd be rinsing it until it just about felt it if I kept going. So that's my hesitation. And I was like super excited about doing the red, and I dyed another skein, and I came up with this, which I love. I don't wear a lot of red, but I really think this would be cool. I'm not going to put this one in my shop because this one definitely did bleed. And I rinsed it and rinsed it and rinsed it, and like just kept rinsing until the cows came home. And then I re-soaked it with vinegar and steamed it again and heat set it like a couple more times. Still getting just a tinge of color out of it. Just a tinge. But I think it would be kind of a fire and ice kind of something. Oh my gosh, that almost matches the quilt behind me. So obviously those colors go together. This was the skein that I did. It was one of my first skeins. And so I think that would be something really cool. So playing around with the reds, I love the red. It's got really nice colors, kind of some more golden undertones. And I'm just not 100% sure about it being color fast. So I'm hanging on to that one for sure, which means this will probably end up in the shop. I mean, let's be honest. I also thought this would make a really pretty pair of socks for my mom because her birthday is in October. So I may keep it. But I wanted to show you what this one looked like because I had talked about it on the previous episode. So not a fail. It actually turned out really pretty. Turned out more like I wanted it to turn out. So it was worth doing for sure. When I got done with this and I thought of putting it together with this, my head instantly went to, it needs to be something brioche. Wouldn't that be cool? Because you've got the two colors, you know, and I won't wear anything brioche that's like a shawl or anything like that because it will just be too hot because they're like double thickness. But I thought a scarf could be kind of cool. So I got on Ravelry and I was trying to find brioche patterns, and I kept the ones that drew my attention were part of a book. So I ended up getting the book, and the book is Knitting Fresh Brioche. And it's got really neat patterns in it. So, oops, I'll just show what I was thinking. This one. I was thinking of that pattern because kind of could look like flames or something. I don't know. It looked pretty cool. And I thought, okay, so you've never done brioche before. Why not do brioche in a pattern, right? Because why not? But I also know that I need to learn how to do it. So I started with the book and I got stuck on the cast on. So the instructions, you know, they have pictures on how to do it. I was like not quite understanding because it shows the little arrow. I'm like, I don't really know what that's showing me. Is it showing me it goes under this or it goes over this? Or it was a little confusing. So I ended up getting on YouTube because that's what we do. Thank gosh we have that. And let me show you. This was hours and hours of work. Let me show you where I'm at with it. So I just grabbed some acrylic yarn. I thought, let me just try. It's not going to be anything I'll wear. It's just for me to learn how to do this. And I had some acrylic yarn from knitting chemo caps and stuff. So I probably cast on 50 times. I'm really good at the Italian cast on. The Italian cast on is like the kind of the go-to or something. So I'm really good at that. Hours and hours. And this is how far I got. It's ridiculous. I don't understand. I just don't seem to be able to understand it. Because when I think I'm doing good, then it's like I shouldn't have like all the same color. I should have like, I don't know. I don't get it. And I keep looking at the YouTube video and I think, okay, I get that. And then I'll do it. And then something goes wrong. Rip it all out, recast on. So that's why I'm really good at the cast on. And I'm going to stick with it because it's the same thing with the paper piecing. I just couldn't get it for the longest time because it was so backwards and like my brain couldn't flip that way. And I think it's kind of the similar thing with this. I'm just not getting it. It was starting to come together. You can almost see where I'm getting like the pink is kind of making a little stripe. This was hours, you guys. This was hours. This is just straight. This isn't even adding the decreases in the shaping to make any kind of design. I know people say they have the fear of brioche, but once they did it, it was so easy and they loved it. I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it. So, even though this part right here, I don't think is right because I don't think I should have these two I don't know. I don't even know how it happened. I think I'm going to keep going on it and just ignoring that, being that this isn't meant to be anything. It's just very confusing. It's very confusing. But I'm trying because, oh my gosh, you guys, that's so gorgeous. It would be so nice to have something like that. I love it. I love it. So in order to get there, I got to get through this. I don't know. I don't really want to take a class because there's nowhere near me that has classes. I'd have to go into Portland and I really don't want to do that. But that's where I'm at with that. So that's kind of a whip. It's my new, trying to learn something new, which I think is always good. Keeps things fresh. But I'll show you, kind of had a mishap with one of my whips from last time. So let me show you that. Remember when I showed you last episode, I was making the geek socks, and I was making it with the skein of yarn from the Cozy Knitter. So everything's going great. It looked fantastic. And I kept checking it like, yeah, I'm keeping my yarn carryovers or whatever, keeping it nice and loose and all that. I knew I was getting to about the length before I was getting to having to do the heel. So I went to slip it on. I couldn't get it on my foot. I couldn't get it past like my heel. So my instep and my heel, it was like, it wouldn't stretch far enough. I could not get it on. And I thought, I have to take this all out. So it was nearly 6 inches of knitting. I had to rip it all out. So I decided to go vanilla because I was so frustrated. And it looks good in vanilla, but it was looking really good as a geek sock. So I just thought, keep it simple. I need to have a simple project to go with other projects. And so I love this. I know it will fit because this is vanilla and this works for me. So sort of sad because it was looking pretty cool. I don't know. I guess my fear of because you were slipping stitches, so you had that carryover bar, and I was keeping that loose. And I think if I had it any looser, it would just catch in my foot, or like my toes would catch on it when I slip my foot in the sock. So I didn't want to have them too loose because I just feel like that would have been a problem. So that didn't work for me. I'm making some headway on my random active color. I'm down towards the bottom of it. I haven't switched to another cable because it's still fitting on this and I don't want to really have to switch it, but let me see if I can show you. Last time, oh, you know what? Where's my progress keeper? I don't know. Well, last time I was in the middle of this eyelet row, so I've done the other striping. I need to do another eyelet row of the white, and then it has a couple more stripes, and then I'm going to try the Picot bind off because I've never tried that before, and I think it looks cool. So that's it so far, which actually goes like that when I wear it. Pretty neat. I think that looks pretty neat. I'm needing it to be done. I think just because, you know, it starts, you know how anything goes. It gets to be like 400 or whatever stitches and you just feel like it takes forever. So that's when I thought, oh, I'll just throw in a little brioche. Yeah. So that's been a good project. So that's been pretty much all I've been knitting on is those socks and the wrap. And then my trying to get my brioche going. So I have no FOs. I think that's it. So now I am going to go into a shop update where I've got some bags and some new yarn. So if you are not interested in that, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see what I've been up to as far as making bags and stuff for the shop, then stick around. Okay, I have some new yarn that I did. Let me start with this. This doesn't belong to the collection because I did this before I thought of the collection, but this is Sea Glass. This is on my Lovely base, which is an 80/20 superwash nylon. So blues and greens, really pretty. Then I came up with, and I don't know why, but I came up with, I want to do a collection based on Rocky Horror. So Rocky Horror Picture Show it's a weird show. It's weird. It's, you know, it's old, but it's a musical and I love musicals. And for those of you that don't like musicals because you think, who breaks into song randomly and sings and dances? Me. If you live with me, I'm a musical. I don't sing well and I don't dance well, but I do it anyway. That's the beauty of being home by yourself most of the time is nobody really cares. And Millie's used to it and she doesn't really give a crap. So Rocky Horror Picture Show, Fox is remaking it and it's going to be on, and I think it's just a show. I don't think it's a series. And so from the preview that I saw, I think it's going to be really good because they're keeping the same music and the same thing. They're just remaking it. And so I started making some colorways to go with Rocky Horror Picture Show. So this is my Rocky Horror collection so far. I ran out. I've got some more that I want to do, but I just ran out of time. So this is Damn It, Janet. This is on my Dreamy base. So this has got the cashmere in it. Because Janet's sweet, but she's a little spunky. So that's Damn It, Janet. This is Brad. Oh, Brad. It's really pretty, like teal, a denim-y blue, and some gray. Then I've got, let me push that. This is Time Warp. Let's do the time warp again. Can't get that song out of my head. So that's Time Warp with purples and greens and kind of a goldy orange and a touch of like rusty red kind of. And this is Riff Raff. This one is on my Dreamy base. So this has got the cashmere in it. So it's like a soft muted brown with little pops of color. So those are it so far. I've got more ideas. I need to do a Frankenfurter. I'm going to do magenta because you got to have a magenta. I've got them written down. I've got a couple other ones that I want to do. So a lot of my stuff might be named after musicals just because I think musicals are awesome, because I really think people should sing and dance more, because you can't be unhappy when you're singing and dancing and you can't be crabby. So, so look for those in my shop. Those will go in tomorrow. I've got to just get some pictures taken and all that stuff that goes with it. Then I think I showed the cat fabric, the skeletons, cats, whatever, kind of a sugar skull theme. I've got a couple of zippers and some drawstring. And then I've got, this is the dog fabric that I've done all drawstring with. And here's the drawstring of the cat. So these are good size drawstring bags, like 2 skein, nice and deep. You can fit a 2 skein project in them. So those will all go, everything's going to go up in my shop tomorrow, Friday, the 26th. These are limited right now because I only done like a couple skeins because I was trying out colors. So if there's a good response, then I'll dye it more, because I think it's fun and they're cool colors. Because this would be a really good color for a hat or socks for a guy. This would be really cool. All of them will. So, yeah, that's it. I guess that was pretty quick. So you can see all my fleece. Isn't that cool? So, quick episode. Like I said, I haven't had a whole lot of time to do much more than that. I'm getting some more of the dog fabric in. I've got, I don't know, like 4 or 5 of the dog bags that I can put in. And then I've got more fabric. Should come today. Thought it was supposed to be here yesterday, so it should come today. So I'll get to making more of those. I've got a bunch of quilting I have to do because I got a couple of Quilts of Valor that came yesterday. And one of my friends wants me to quilt one of her quilts, so I've got to niche out some time for that. When the weather cools down, like I said, you know, I've told you how the weather is up here. So when the weather cools down, I'm going to have to spend some time with the quilting part. I may not do so much of that anymore. I don't know. It's just, I only have so much time in my day. And I wish I had more, but I don't. And I can't seem to make more. And it's just the way it is. So thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around. And thank you so much for all your support. And have a wonderful day. And a fun weekend. Enjoy the last weekend of summer. Well, I guess we get one more. So the end of summer for most of you. And do something creative and get outside if you can. And until next time, see you later.